John Obidi. John Obidi is a new media consultant, international speaker, and personal development trainer. He is a highly skilled, compelling, visionary, and phenomenal resourceful person, bringing practical intelligence and transferable solutions to both the workplace and marketplace as a whole, and doing so in the most innovative and unconventional ways, unlocking admiration and gratitude from clients and industry stakeholders everywhere. In 2018, John was voted amongst Advanced Media's 100 most influential young Nigerians, coming in second in the final rankings. In December 2018, he won the Future Awards Africa Prize for New Media. John is a leading consultant on online digital marketing in Africa, and he is the founder of Head Start Africa, a community of over 150,000 business and career professionals. As a thought leader in personal development, leadership, and online marketing, John's blog, podcasts, webinars, workshops, masterclasses, conferences, and speaking engagements are acclaimed to be practical, disruptive, paradigm-shifting, forward-looking, and highly progressive. He has served as keynote speaker in Brazil, UAE, Ghana, Zambia, and Nigeria. John is available as a keynote speaker and panelist for conferences, workshops, and knowledge-sharing platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome John Obidi.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so some of you are seeing me for the first time in real life, have you? I've left the spirit world of the internet, and I'm here in real life. So good to see everybody. So good to see you guys. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Please, guys, a rousing round of applause to each YAMA. Yeah, one of the few people that I know that I can travel for. Yeah, because you guys, when I'm around, I just chill in Lagos. Yeah, but when Ijoma said Asaba, I said, okay. Yeah, couldn't tell her that. Thank you so much, Ijoma, for all that you're doing. Ijoma really has a passion for helping people grow, and I really appreciate the work that she's doing here, and I just had to come and support what she was doing. Thank you, Ijoma. Well, as a matter of fact, some people don't even know the drama surrounding my being here, right? I already agreed to be here and everything, but I was supposed to have flown in yesterday, but the day before I was to fly in, I came down with something. I was terribly ill. I was thinking, I said, how do I beg Ijoma now? I could not move. So my flight for yesterday, I missed it because I was just there. Ijoma said, okay, how are you doing now? I didn't know how I was doing, so I couldn't respond. So I was in the hospital actually, which I rarely do. I was in the hospital yesterday, and by noon, I began to feel somewhat okay. Me, normally, if I have any little issue, I will not stress myself. Anybody that knows me personally knows that I like soft life. No, you just look at me now.
Yes, sir.
If events happen to me now, Obidi, everybody will move on very quickly, and I won't blame you. It's a human being. So I prioritize my well-being. But when I could feel even 40 to 50% okay, called the German and said, I'm coming. So I flew in this morning. Yeah, just have to be there. Thank you, German. Elisha Maman, so good to see you in the flesh. We've interacted so many times online. I'm just seeing you for the first time in real life. And it's such a great honor. But I remember when he was speaking, he said something about, when you mention John Obidi, you think of new media, right? You mention Dr. Michael Ladibo, you think of leadership. right? And said, when he mentioned me, and I thought, when I think of you, there's something that comes to mind actually. And let me just, I'll have to look into a Bible verse that everyone thinks they know. You know, night school, I do these things to you. Yeah. So, it's a parable called the parable of the shrewd manager. Alright, this is not what I came to share. I'm just talking about it. I shall not now. Okay. The parable of the shrewd manager. Now, I always say that King James is a very problematic version. Very problematic. Right? Very problematic. And you need to be a student of language to understand why I say that. Alright? Did anybody here read the works of Shakespeare? Right? You realize that it's a similar kind of grammatical structure. So the kind of English spoken at that time is something called Middle English. So thou art, all right? But most of you were raised in church. So whenever you saw thou art, you assumed, oh, this is King James. No, you were too churched. That is called Middle English. So anybody who lived in that time in history spoke that way. That's the English they had. And even before Middle English, there was something called Old English. If you read Old English, you don't understand what I said. It was Old English that evolved to Middle English. Middle English evolved to our time. So if you read any works of literature around that time in so-called English language, it was using those words, thou art, you know, and so on. Over time, English evolved to the pronouns that we have today. So when King James is an actual name of a king. Some people don't know that. King James. Right? Was a king of England. Like we have King Charles today. Alright? There was once a king of England called King James. It was during his tenure that he authorized. So when you say the authorized translation, by who? By a human being, Mr. King James. Right? So he paid for translators to make the first mass translation into English, the English of their time. And not just the English of their time, was according to their understanding of the foreign language at the time. Which is why translations have had to come out over time. So there are some words in Latin, in Greek, in Aramaic, in Hebrew, that even those translators did not fully understand. That till today, people are still discovering that. So language is always a going concern. Right? So that's why I say King James sometimes can be a problematic translation. It's valuable, thank God that it came when it came. It served its purpose to the extent that it did, but it can be problematic for you if you don't understand its purpose. Alright? So if you are too church, you say, oh, this is the one. No. That is not accurate. That was what was available at the time. And over time, we have improved. Alright? So, when you read the parable of the shrewd manager from King James, you may not fully get it. But let me read something from the Message translation, alright? I read NIV, but there's something from the Message translation I'm trying to pull out here. We all know the parable of the shrewd manager, right? Yes? You don't know it? I don't have to read everything, alright? There's one some parts I'm trying to pick out. Okay, so let me summarize, okay? So there was this man who owned a business, alright? And in this business, he employed a manager. Now, the master knew that this manager was dishonest, alright? And he was about to fire him for being dishonest. Now, this manager knew that he would soon be fired. So he would go to everybody that owed his master money and say, how much you owe my master? $100,000? Come, let me write it down to $80,000. The guy was like, oh wow, thank you so much. How much you owe my master? $5,000, cancel it, do it again. And he did this for a number of people. Alright? Now, when the master heard what his manager had done, he commended him. Alright? But that part is what I want to read out in the Message translation. Okay, so it's Luke 16, verse 8 to 9. It says, now here's a surprise. The master praised the crooked manager. And why? because he knew how to look after himself. Right now, the part where King James say the people of this world are wiser. Okay, this is how they say it in the message. It says, streetwise people are smarter in this regard than law-abiding citizens. They are on constant alert, looking for angles, surviving by their wits. I want you to be smart in the same way, but for what is right. Using every adversity to stimulate you to creative survival, to concentrate your attention on the bare essentials, so that you will live, really live, and not complacently just get on by good behavior. Get that? So when Elijah was talking about himself, this is what came to mind. Alright? I first knew Elijah man through Feast Stephen. Because I was always mentioning Elisha Mama in the post, and I was like, who is Elisha Mama? I didn't know who it was. You know, and I think a couple of times I would see you comment on the group and I would check and I was like, interesting. So I didn't really know much about your work, but from the things that I would hear from people that have been mentored by you, this is the verse that stands out to me. Alright? So when I think about you, what do I think about? I think of wit, I think of wisdom, but if we were to use colloquial terms in the workplace, I would say performance, right? I would say you are a kind of life coach that helps people to everything that was quoted here, all right? Help people to be on constant alert, yeah? Helping them to what? Look for angles. Helping them to survive by their wits. Alright? Helping them to be smart in the same way. Using what is right. Right? Using every adversity to stimulate them to creative survival. That'll be a good night school episode. Creative survival. Alright? 7 keys to creative survival. To concentrate your attention on the bare essentials, so you will live, really live, and not complacently just get on by good behavior. So that's what stood out to me. I'm really honored to meet you in person and to have heard your presentation. Thank you so much. Done amazing. Mike Oladipo, so good to see you here again. Dr. Mike Oladipo, I was so privileged to be in this session last year at YAMA in Lagos. And it was so amazing. Dr. Michael Oladipo has an amazing passion and pedigree for the leadership space. And he also honored me with an award for leadership last year. And that was such an honored moment. Thank you so much, Dr. Oladipo. Thank you. Madam Gloria NG. Well done. Thank you so much. I listened keenly. I've not heard you speak before, so I had to really listen when you were speaking. Well done. Good job. All right. Emmy Millionaire, the prince of copywriting. I think that's what was his value, right? Yes. Well done, sir. I read your post, so you think I don't see. Just like the lecturer was accusing me that I don't say anything. Yes, but I read your posts. But I say something sometimes. In real life, mostly. Seriously. All right. Always a pleasure to see your work. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. I listened to your presentation. I'm reading your plenty write-ups on Facebook. Thank you so much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Morris Akwepe, so good to hear you. I've never heard you before in this capacity, and that was a really fantastic session. Well done, Morris. Well done. I've been seeing your messages in my DMs and everything, and you see, Morris has been messaging me in my DMs. I didn't know what to make of it, so I used to respond to him like I would anybody that messages in your life, you know. But sitting here and seeing him in his place of competence, it just changed his branding in my eyes. And that was amazing. I don't say this lightly. I was thinking like the way he was enunciating the words and getting creative on the fly. That was really an amazing session. Well done, Morris. Great job. Great job. Okay, so let's go. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Something you guys don't know about me is this is like a homecoming because I'm actually from Ibuzo. Did you know that? Yeah, I'm actually from Ibuzo. I'm not just from. I've lived there. Yeah, and a huge part of my story actually is here in Asaba. Most people don't know that. I've never really written about it, but yes. Ibuzo is like 30 minutes from here, isn't it? That's my village. Yeah. I know Obidi doesn't sound like I'm from anywhere. Obidi, like, what is that? From Ibuzo, yeah. And so we used to be in Port Harcourt. My father moved to the village, so we had to live in Ibuzo. I think I was in my early 20s then. When we, I think I was 19 when we moved to Ibuzo. Alright? I remember when I moved to Ibuzo, I mean, this is me. Right? We now have, when you're a kid, you have to go where your parents go. It's like your call, you know. Landing in Ibuzo, I felt so out of place. Like, this is me, city boy. Yeah. And circumstantially, we had to be in the village. It was there in Ibuzo, I had a huge passion for improving myself still. It never left me even though I was living in Ibuzo. Yeah? And most of you know the Lagos incarnation, right? But there's the Ibuzo story I'm not really told like that. Yeah? I was in Ibuzo and I needed to improve myself. I used to be so restless. I would complain every day. My father never really understood. He understood to some degree, but I guess the helplessness of the situation, okay, what are we going to do about it? So, remember that time I somehow was able to get my uncle to give me a laptop, and there in Ibuzo I would try to practice, at the time, web design and programming. This was 2006. And I would practice but the things in Ibuzo, I don't know about now, but then there was no light. I'm not saying they bring light like for 2 hours per day, or maybe if you see light once a month, people will be jubilating. That was where I lived. There was no light. I better pass my neighbor generator said, you don't get. You know what I used to do? Every single day, I would enter a bus from Ibuzo to Asaba with my laptop. Every single day, Ibuzo to Asaba here, to go to a cyber cafe at someone in Nebisi Road. Nebisi Road is in Asaba, right? Yes. But I mixed it up with the Umeje in Ibuzo. Yeah, Nebisi Road. I would get to one cyber cafe there and I would plug my laptop. I didn't have money to even use the internet. I just needed electricity. That's all I came to Asaba for every single day. I would plug my thing there. I was very good friends with the cyber cafe attendant, my good friend Hilary then. And I would use their lights and I would practice my programming, computer programming, web design, every single day. Every single day. That was me. And as fate would have it, I think before I knew it, I got admission to Benson University in Benin. That's why I moved from here to Benin and school there, stayed there for a while, then moved to Lagos. But that's my Asaba history, so it does feel like a homecoming. And I want to really encourage those of you that live here, all right? But again, you know that I'm not necessarily motivational, all right? What I do not necessarily encourage, even though I do need encouragement, but I need to open your eyes to what the nature of the world is. Otherwise, you'll be confessing positive until you die. All right? Greater people than you have confessed positive. They believed in themselves. They've been diligent at their work. They never actualized. Why? All right? I want to appeal to you to take off your church eyes when listening to me. All right? And use your intellect. You'll get me better. All right? When you're in church, they tell you to what? Keep your intellect aside and use your spirit man. No. For me, it's the opposite. Drop that so-called spirit man. Use your intellect. You'll understand what I'm saying. Recently, I've been going on a series where I say life is a pyramid scheme. You know what a pyramid scheme is? Yeah. Alright? We use pyramid scheme in negative connotations. The most popular one was MMM. Alright? Where bring up person, break people. but why we say it's a pyramid scheme is that there is this image of a pyramid where there's a lot of people at the bottom and a few at the top. That's not all. All the activity at the bottom feeds and benefits those on the higher levels until it gets to the top. And every profession, every hustle, every job, every career is a pyramid scheme. And that's not to make you angry or afraid or upset, it's to open your eyes. Then you decide where on the pyramid you want to belong. Your greatest tragedy is if you don't know you're in a pyramid scheme. You'll be at the bottom of the saying, you are taking over, you are dominating. Right? I remember sometimes when I say this, people don't really get it, and I can understand why. When I say, what do you do? Someone says, I'm a website designer. I say, okay, I don't blame you. I too was once a website designer. But by the grace of God, before I was able to get in touch with mentors, I just believe that there was some kind of angel that was whispering to me, because I was just knowing things that I shouldn't have known on my own. Alright? I wish there was some John Obidi in my time that I could just hear these things from. I didn't have. Wish my father could have told me, but you can't give what you don't have. He too was locked up in the system. But there was just a knowing, I can't explain it. I was just slowly peeling back the curtain. And here was the first bombshell. This was when I was in my apartment in Benin City. I was a web designer. Benin City is kind of like Asaba. Slow town, easygoing, cost of living is a lot less. You know, if you do any of these hustles, web design, programming, photography, you can get by, you'll be okay. But you see, one thing I know about myself, and most Nigerians I've met, you see, you start to appreciate your Nigerianness more when you travel to other African countries. Has anybody gone around Africa? I don't mean Europe, leave Europe first. You start to appreciate your Nigerianness when you travel to other African countries. Why? They always say that Nigerians are so ambitious, they're so vibrant, they're so, I'm like, because amongst ourselves is normal. We are just, that is ambitious. You know, I was in Rwanda for about 10 months last year. And everywhere, it became a flex to say you're a Nigerian. Yeah. Because I lived in Dubai for 2 years. And I became used to keeping that Nigerianness in my back pocket. Because it didn't have such a positive effect then. So I used to hide it. So that became a habit. So even in Rwanda, I was looking for the first time I just started to mention it, oh, you're Nigerian! Wow! Have you met Burna Boy? When I learned that to be a Nigerian in those countries was a flex, so what's your name? My name is John Obidi. I'll pause 2 seconds. From Nigeria. Oh my goodness, Nigeria! So there's more about. Okay, so the point of that is that most Nigerians I've met are really ambitious. There's no Nigerian that does not want to blow. And I mean, of course, there will be some exceptions, okay? Generally, every Nigerian wants to blow. It's the Nigerian dream. They want to escape, they want to be rich. Because don't understand, and this is not just Nigeria, it's all over the world. Google middle class. Well, middle class is also called the spending class. They are the ones that can spend. This is called psychographics. Psychographics means understanding the psychological profile of target markets, of market segments. How do they think? Middle class is called the spending class. Without the middle class, there will be no economy. Other things associated with the middle class is that they are easy to influence. Middle class, they are not poor, but they're not quite rich. Therefore, you can sell them a lot of luxury packages so they can feel rich. The middle class are more pushed by peer pressure. so many things about our middle class. Now, if you are thinking, oh, middle class, so why are they middle class? How can they escape? Well, you see, no government can come and tell you, you know what, middle class, you are so precious to us. Stay there, we're going to contain you. No. Every human being has it in them to resist known manipulation. Every human being has it. Have you met some people that they were so useless all their lives, right? But the moment one wicked uncle told them, you'll be useless all your life, something just... Even if their trajectory was to be useless, hey, there's something in the human spirit that will just rise up. All the wisdom he did not hear in his life to prove to you, you will become somebody. Right? So, the first man said, oh, no. Like, how do we make them take ownership of where they are? So, every government has to be in cahoots with media. Right? And so media will put up these shows and put up these ads and put things that can arrest people's attention. Alright? When any group of people is going to be subverted, it will be through arresting what they see, what they say. Alright? And I say all the time that the systems of this world, they copy a lot from the Bible. Your adversaries, your oppressors, they get their blueprints from the Bible.
Off my mic. Is that true? Replacement to... I must talk my mind.
The adversaries are against you.
The adversaries. It might take pyramid scheme.
Yes. Your adversary copies a lot from the Bible. Alright. Like I said, keep your church eyes to the side. Use your intellect. Alright? Why were Adam and Eve cast out of the garden? Who can answer? Why? Yes. Yes? Disobedience, okay. Yes.
Because God knew that they have become like Him.
That's what I'm looking for. What you are telling me is what your pastor told you. You don't read it. See, I learned late that most Nigerians have not read their Bibles ever. Because my father was a pastor. So I had to read the Bible as a necessity. If you don't read the Bible, you can't eat. Just the revelation and finish it back to back as a prerequisite for being my father's son. Memory verse are daily drilling.
Wow.
That's in the middle of as teenagers. Yes. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Verse 6, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. I can keep going, New Testament. It was a daily drill. If I just said it without narrating it and you say that I had to do it for you so you know. That was a daily drill. So I actually assumed that in other Christian homes, that was how they did it. That we were always reading. So we could read and fact check what any so-called preacher was saying. That's how I go. You just sat down. From my childhood, it always been that way. Alright? So anyway, that aside, what you hear echoed is they were cast out for what? Disobedience. Read it for yourself. Human beings make errors all the time. Human beings, sometimes it's not an error, it's agenda. Alright? Now, you read it, you hear a conversation that the God of Genesis had with his guys. Alright? They had the first conversation when they created man. Said, let us make man. Okay, that was the first conversation. The second one was that, man has now become like us, knowing good and evil. Let us cast them out lest he reach out for the tree of life also. I didn't say it though. Is that? Yeah. I know it's unpalatable. It's kind of goes against what you've been groomed to believe God is. Alright? God is whatever God is. Don't impose your own wish. Oh, God is cool, kind, fair, just, I don't know. I just read something here. That's what I read. Alright? All I want to know is the truth. Right. So, what does that tell you? How do the powers of this world copy that template? There is nobody in power, with of course notable exceptions, which is why you should honor mentors, right? There is nobody in position of power that wants you to be like them. It's a pyramid scheme. The pyramid persists because you are all working at the bottom. There is nobody who goes, sir, please give us 5 skills of your success. People are so funny. I will not mention any names, but whenever they are interviewing billionaires and on those interviews, what are 5 things to success? I always laugh. They'll say, oh, well, I've always worked hard. I have a strong belief in myself. Since I was a little boy in my father's house, my father taught us the value of work ethic. And that's the thing with the youth today. They don't know the value of work ethic. If every Nigerian can have work ethic, if I could do it. So you don't understand. Life is a pyramid scheme, and it's okay. Because someday you might be at the top of your own pyramid as well. And it might be in your best interest to keep other people out. I don't know. Life is whatever it is. And so when you're looking at the pyramid you are on, because everybody's on the pyramid, when you are looking at the pyramid you are on, you have to honestly say to yourself, where am I on this pyramid? Is this where I should be? And I'll tell you, when I was in Benin, I was in my room one day, like I said, I don't know the inspiration that always came into my head. It had to be some angelic force, because nobody was telling me. I was just prodding my spirit every day. And I said to myself, right, I used to, I had almost nobody around me that would think like me. So I had to be my own consultant. I would sit by myself and I'll be myself. And I'll say, John, I'll answer yes. You can never get rich being a web designer. There's something I call the banana peel of youth. The banana peel of youth. I'll say it again, the banana peel of youth. When you're young, you're so arrogant, but you will not know yet until time passes. Alright? So there are certain things that are so bitter to hear that you don't want to hear them even from yourself. Self-delusion is deep. So I don't know a single rich web designer. Maybe they are now, but this thing I'm saying, this inner conversation was in 2011. No single rich one. I said no. Right now I can afford to feed myself, house myself, but if a major tsunami hits me now,
Yes, sir.
my nakedness will be bare.
Yes, sir.
What do I do? I didn't have the answer to that question. But because I was asking, what do I do next? My mind was open. So I knew for sure I did not want to continue designing websites, but I didn't know what I wanted yet because I didn't have options. I didn't know what was next. One of the reasons I didn't have options was because of where I was living, my environment. We were coming in the car, and I was talking with China's favor in the car, and I said, this is my town, Basaba. What thrives here? What are the industries that thrive here? Church. Hotels. Banks. Yeah, there's banks, there's clubs. Alright? So apart from all those things now, what is it that exists here that can help you grow? That is why many people in this town are into what? Yahoo. I know I grew up here at Buzo. Asabano do Yahoo as Buzo. So right? So because of where I was, being similar, none of that. I remember one time when I first came to that cafe here, I was the only person there not doing Yahoo. And I was so naive. They were like, wait till your format now. I'm like, format. I was speaking English. I was speaking English. I was like, yeah, I'm practicing my programming. My mom used to make beats. Yeah, so I used to go online and do Google image search for beat designs. So I'll print out in Cyber Cafe and bring home to in Ibuzo. Right? So I was like, I just had to do some research for beats, and they were like, to be honest, they thought I was an informant. They thought I was an informant because it's impossible. Young man like you in a cyber cafe and you don't get format, it's a lie. You are a spy. So they were shocked at my position. I was shocked at their position. Because I've never seen anything like this before. I didn't know what Yahoo was. So this time I knew what it was. I mean, I didn't know 419, the normal advanced people. I didn't know the online version. You see, I figured it out, right? So, you that wants to become something in life, where is the ecosystem to build you? What are the options in front of you? Some of you, there are some things that you are made, genetically designed to be the best in the world at. But because you've not seen it done before, you can't enter it. So that's why when I was in Benin, I knew what I didn't want, but I didn't know what I wanted. But I kept my mind open. My mind was open. And so one day, a friend of mine, so you might know him, Tochiko McFoy, he's Dr. Foy on Instagram. You know, we're very good friends in Benin. He was a medical student then. He just came into my room one day, saying, Obidi, man, there's this thing in Lagos that I do, they call it online PR. I said, Tochiko, which one online PR again? Because this guy is my friend, he has 1,000 ideas per second. Right? Some of them never see the light of day, so I tell them, don't get tired of hearing. Online PR, I said, okay, I'll check it out. So that night, I went to Google and I searched online PR. What is this thing? So I saw PR, I didn't quite like it. It looked a lot like telling lies. But I saw commonly searched for, I saw social media strategy, online marketing. I was like, hey, what is this? And I'll keep on clicking. By the time that night was finished, I said, this is what I want to do. When we're doing it, you know, Yinka came, gave me the cards, and people asked my cards, I was shocked. What do you do? Actually, we are into... But that was my first card, ever, right? But while I was there, I met such beautiful, excellent people. I said, John Obidi, what have you been doing in Benin? Everybody was so smart, intelligent, well-spoken, sophisticated, elegant. I wanted it. I said, man, I'm moving to Lagos. I didn't have the money to move, because even that one where I come, I don't get money to go back. Yeah, we've done some crazy things in this life. Crazy things. I don't know what I was thinking, but in the moment it made sense. I just believed that I was shackling money to come back to Benin. So while I was there was an event happening around that time. Steve Harris. I only heard of Steve Harris online. Yes. Steve Harris was holding a master because of the talents. Then it was a seminar, not masterclass. It was a seminar. Everybody was 10K. I didn't have 10K to attend. One of my friends, Samson, they were providing what kind of service to the organizers. So they had 2 free tickets. Samson said, John, this event is happening. I don't have the time to go. Can you go to my place? Yes. I said, well, what do I have to do? Just wear our t-shirts. Event is wear our t-shirt. Thank you. 2 tickets, I wear a t-shirt. I entered. I got into that place. How old was I? I think I was 27. You know, and I want to say this very deliberately. I was the ripe old age of 27, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that. But I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with where I was. I was just cool. I was doing well. I was pretty smart. Until the event started and we were doing testimonials. There's one girl that came up to give a testimonial. She said, you know, she was talking about things that she had done. Paris, she had done a magazine, written a book. She was like, 21 or something. What was her name? By the time my name was Funto Oni.
Now you know her as Obidi. That's what we met for the first time. And that she had written a book, she had done this, she had done things that she had done like. People were just coming, it's 122, 122. My 27 was not looking so nice anymore. What is going on with these people here? And at that event, Ali Baba came and spoke. He was a master comedian, come there to make jokes. He came to give a talk on excellence. And while he was speaking, everybody was quiet. He was dropping gems. No funny moment. My brain was sweating. I couldn't believe the moment. I mean, now it may be normal to you, but then I've never been exposed to barrage, like back to back. It was crazy. I felt like I would faint. Not just from overloading, but almost like FOMO. Where have I been all my life? Like, I can't continue when I'm getting here. I'm afraid I'll forget something from this place. So my ears are wide open. Then Tunyeko came there and spoke as well. He came there to speak on, I remember to this day, integrity. And he was talking. He came with his power bike, dressed like a biker, and he came in. Amazing. Tara Falabrote, let's have she came here and spoke. What does she do? Cosmetics, makeup. But she came here to speak about how to create a business process. That was the first time in my life I knew what a 10 business process was. I'd never heard it in my life before. And she explained it like she would explain to a 5-year-old and you would get it. Man. I said, see, there are two kinds of people in life. Alright? The kind of person you are will determine what your degree of restlessness would be when you discover where you actually are on that pyramid. You will either be like, wow, such an amazing session. I heard Elisha Maman speak and I was so, your words, mightily. The other group of people will be like, I will not let you go. I want what you have. Some that are golden. Some people are very funny. I have them in my DMs a lot. One of them, Jimmy, go and quote Elisha. I said, I want a double portion, sir. I want it. I know, I'm the one that usually says, heighten your expectation. I know, I my faults. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for preaching so motivationally that you want to now use it on me. I want to put portion of the But we that are carrying it, we don't really see ourselves like that most of the time. We're just doing what we like to do. So chill, calm down. Let's zero it first. Right? However, when you see excellence and you want it, it's a different question. And that will determine the kinds of questions you ask of life. That will determine your trajectory. There is no way you would have that mindset and remain at the bottom. So, from my background, seeing these people, I said, hold on. I had been doing social media strategy for a little bit. And I was observing something happening there in that event and elsewhere. The people who made the most money from anything, they all had one thing in common. They could speak in public. Like I told you guys, I used to be the shyest person in the world. But because of how much I had been galvanized, I said, if this shyness and me getting to the tip of that pyramid is the only thing I'll conquer it now. That demon will fight. And I must win. And now when I began to overtime, work on it. I mean, when I landed in Lagos, you guys just assumed, effect of the sky. So after that event, I got back to Benin. I didn't have money to move yet, because moving to Lagos is not easy. Depending on the kind of support you have. Got back to Benin. I began to work harder so I could get enough money to move. I had my escape plan, right? So when I came back, I told my pastor that I allow me teach social media strategy to church members that wanted to learn for free after church service every Sunday. And I said, okay. So every Sunday I was teaching them. They were my target practice. They were enjoying it, learning, but they didn't know that I was using them to learn. So that when I go to Lagos, there will be no learning problem. So I was there, I was practicing body language in Benin. It's not in Lagos, in Benin. I was practicing body language. You know, I would go online, I would read Linda.com by the time that sold down to LinkedIn Learning. I would take courses on body language, on stage presence. I would go to church and practice. I would teach on social media. I would try out my comedic skills. So that's what when you land a joke and they're quiet, that's feedback. They didn't quite like. You tried it, right? But because it was Billy, I didn't care. I did not care. Kept on going, kept on going, kept on going, kept on going, right? Our house fellowship I was at the time, the cell leader had to travel abroad for his master's, and he handed it over to me. Normally me, I would never accept because I was so damn shy. But I saw everything as preparing me, opportunity to learn. So I accepted it. I was teaching sales. So in those confines, in those environments, I was learning. So when I came to Lagos to speak for the first time was in 2014 at Social Media Week. There's a story behind that, right? Okay, so let me tell you the story because it's very interesting, right? So what happened? It all started with me being dissatisfied with where I was. I said there is no way. I tell myself, there's no way. Forget all this. Oh, you can do it. You know, I always tell people that, you know, as you begin to grow in your intellect, you start to appreciate the role of critical thinking over these your spooky imaginations, like sometimes called vision. No. There are 3 conversations I rate highly in the Bible. 3. I like to say the Bible because of you. Most of you are churched up, so unless they say the Bible said, they never read that. It's unfortunate, you should grow past that. But I'll do it. There are 3 conversations. The first one was between the angel Gabriel and Mary. They appeared, Mary, you shall be with child. Most Nigerian Christians, amen, I will silly, shut the hell up and listen. Mary asked a question, how? And thunder did not fire her. Angel explained. So I like to say this. The evolved human being goes beyond being dazzled by the effects of a thing. They evolve to determine the cause of it. Not just the effect. They inquire, what's the cause? How is this happening? They keep on investigating till they understand the principle behind that cause with a view to replicating it again to achieve the same effect. This time at will. I wrote an email to the newsletter one day and I titled it The Rainmakers of the World. Some of you have read it, some of you have not. And what I said there was, I attended, so a friend lost his father, so I went to support him at the father's funeral. It was in Bielsa. That was my first and only time in Bielsa, so a year ago. There's one thing I noticed about Yenogoa because it was so hot. So hot, that was I just remember. The sand was burning through the soles of our feet. Our feet were burning, it was so hot. Anyway, we got to the venue. So on our way to the place where we were doing the funeral rites, I saw some men on one corner just doing something a little bit off. So I asked my guy, "Who are those guys?" He said, "Oh, they are the rainmakers." I said, I mean, I had read about rainmakers as a child, but I didn't quite know what they were. I'd never seen anyone that was a rainmaker. And so, "Oh, they are rainmakers, so when you want to have a big event, you pay them so that rain does not fall. And sometimes if you don't pay them, they can make rain fall." Like, it's not possible. Because I've always been a man of science. You're right? So I'm like, it's not possible. This guy maybe just want to text me that I don't call and they didn't really control the weather. So anyway, they got to the burial. Notes, the sun was blazing hot. Did the whole funeral. At the end of the funeral, as it was just over, ladies and gentlemen, me, man of science, I was dumbfounded. Clouds began to gather. Dark clouds. And there was a heavy downpour. So that we could see that our money was working. So they would actually make rainfall so that you see that they were not bluffing. So you pay them, and once you done your event, like 3, 4, 5 minutes, rain will start falling. Once you are done, you finish successfully, rain will start falling, and when it started falling, people were clapping and living there. I was confused, and that confusion is one of my biggest gifts to my critical thinking. I'm willing to endure that confusion to what the average mortal will jubilate. Yay! Signs and wonders. No. What happened here? I refuse to believe that it's spiritual, and I will not rest until I discover the science. There's something here. I don't know what it is, but there's something here. It's not spiritual. I went back home. I couldn't figure it out. Anyway, I tried. I couldn't figure out what they did. So I left it. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2020, I relocated to Dubai. Right? And in Dubai is a very hot place. It's in the desert. Alright? One of the things about Dubai is that the buildings and cars, vehicles in Dubai are fanatically cooled. Everywhere is chilly. Buildings and vehicles, they are chilly because of the heat. You would actually be arrested for not having a working AC in your car. You can be arrested. That's how hot it is. So they never see rain. Never. Then one day, I was just watching TV, and I was announced that, hey, people of Dubai, we are going to conduct something called a cloud seeding operation between the hours of this and this. So when we do this, as you all know, rain is going to fall heavily. If you want to know more about cloud seeding, here's a URL. Please navigate, either you want to stay indoors or just navigate your movements accordingly. Like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Cloud, what? And I googled it. What is cloud seeding? People in Dubai had a scientific process for making rain. And they explained it so that we could understand what they were doing and so not be caught in the flood or something. Everybody say, this is the time I'm going to do it. And I read it. Guess what? Cloud seeding. Google it. Cloud seeding means shooting salt flares into the sky. And there's a process that happens in the clouds that make clouds gather and heavy downpour happens. So they were using jet planes to fly, because now it gets so hot that they need to make rain fall to cool the place. So they will fly jets into the clouds, and the jets will now be spraying those salt flares. And before you know it, clouds will gather, rain will fall in Dubai. They call it cloud seeding. I said the rainmakers of Yenagoa. I was now putting 2 and 2 together. This is what they were doing. But they were not using jet planes, they were using these day guns. These guys had figured out they were using cannons. We thought it was just because I'm from Ekuzo. When I did a funeral, like shooting cannons. Boom, boom. So I grew up knowing that. But these guys were not just shooting cannons to, as a sound for the dead. No. They were putting a concocted mix of salt and some things. They were shooting into the clouds. They understood the science. But not only understood the science, they kept it secret. Because that's the source of their livelihood. How well do they survive in that pyramid? And the villagers were dancing. It sucks, don't it? But how many times have you been like a villager? You don't question nothing. You question everything. Papa, this man was brought here blind. You don't question nothing. And you go home and say affirmations, I will be great. You are not going anywhere until you eat from that tree of knowledge. Till your eyes are opened, you're not going anywhere. the person at the top wants to be like him, you are joking. It's never gonna happen. Unless he gave it to you. Okay, son, okay. Put a question here. So that was one, that was Mary, alright? The whole conversation was between Jesus and Nicodemus. And he said, except he not be born again, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. The Nigerian person will be like, born again. Got it. Our ministry, born again, the National Salvation Ministries. Shut the hell up, you don't even know what he's talking about. Well, you see, Nicodemus was a learned man. So he said, hold on. Let's break it down. He said, born again. Etymologically, I know what it means to be born. Come out of my mother's womb. I get that. What you're saying, again, you see how you were breaking it down? That's critical thinking. Are you saying that I have to go back into my mother's womb and be born again? Very few Christians can be critical enough to ask that question. Don't question God. Who told you? And when he asked, Jesus did what? Answer. What's the third one? Jesus and Pilate. Jesus, what did you do to make these people so mad? What do you want to kill you? And he said, I'm here because I bear witness to the truth. What is truth? In law, that statement or that conversation is called jesting Pilate, meaning that Pilate wasn't really asking to get an answer. It was almost rhetorical, like, what really is true? Is it because you say so, or because I say so? Like, people need to learn. So you say, oh, to Jesus, I don't ask. You see, that's why in the Bible I rate two action figures above all. Two. Jesus, King Solomon. Why King Solomon? King Solomon did not rely on any prophecies. He never quoted Isaiah or Jeremiah. He didn't quote anybody. King Solomon, if you read his books, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, not so much Solomon. John the Minister was reading King Solomon's books. It's Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. He relied heavily on his powers of observation. He said, hey, let me put anybody, I'm trying. Sluggard, that's I'm trying to know what I'm doing. Sluggard, come and observe the ants. Why was he looking at ants? Come and observe the ants. Look how diligent the ant is. You say, oh, I was looking out of my window today and I saw this happen and that happened. And from what I'm seeing, here's what I think. Here is my deduction. From what I have observed, I can see that the battle is not always to the strong, nor the race to the swift, but time and chance happeneth there. Oh, jump in and whoa, boy, no. The message there is to use your own powers of observation to unearth wisdom that is for you, that other people will jubilate at. That is how you get to the bloody top of your pyramid. But you see, to keep the pyramid open, you have to program people to be followers. Unfortunately, some of you are there, but hopefully you break out of it. So I said all of that to say this, alright? Ecclesiastes 9:11, again, heavy on King Solomon. King James. It says, I returned and saw under the sun. I'm going to teach you, right? One of the ways you have to think, yes, in order to reinvent your position on that pyramid. And it's hidden in this verse that you think you know. Right? Go on. It says, I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding. You know, people will say, wisdom. Because I get wisdom, I have money. Who told you? But it said wisdom is the principal thing. See, I say when I learn English first, what is that Bible? Principle means first. Not only. Principle means first, number one. It's not the only thing. You have wisdom, you need courage to be successful. Wisdom, yes. I know many wise people that sometimes you need to be able to take advantage of an opportunity. What does it mean when this time happens to them all? Please follow my thoughts. It says the race is not to the swift. Does it mean that speed is not essential in any race? Does it mean that strength is not important in any battle? Strength is important. But guess what? Listen. The role of time is that in every generation, at every interval, the parameters of strength are being redefined. What's the meaning of strength? Many years ago, before we were colonized, back in ancient times, warriors had to be built, bold, strong. What happened? Time happened. And the British came with what? Cannons. 1, 2, 3 cannons could take down 10,000 men. The parameters of strength had shifted from gravel to cannons. To anybody who was still defining strength by physical braveness, you've lost. Time has happened to you. What about speed? What does it mean to be fast? The race is not to be swift. Yes, swiftness is important, but swiftness, speed, at what? Time changes the definition of what you need to be swift at. Let me give you guys examples. Wisdom leaders have heard me say this. There was a time when the British were the superpower in the world, colonized the entire world, were the top. The race, Norman, moved to the swift. And the British were swift. But at what? In their navy, they had the largest naval fleet on the face of the earth. And that's how that tiny island nation conquered the world, because they were first. Alright, the British enacted something called the two-power system. It was a naval decree that ensured that, it made sure that they budgeted for their navy double the combined power of the two world powers at the time, Russia and I think France. So look at how much Russia had budget for their navy, how much France had, put it together, times 2. Was their budget. So they had the fastest and the largest fleet, and based on that, with world power. But time happened. In 1904 or so, the Wright brothers had their first flight. Americans. They had their first flight. And the Americans. This is it. The rules for what constitutes speed had changed. From sea to air, the Americans were first. They moved quickly, built their air force faster than the British could keep up. By that time, the British now had so many ships with their money tied down, they couldn't keep up manufacturing planes. The Americans became number 1. I'll give you another example. I don't know how many of you are active on Twitter. There was this video clip that was making the rounds where a Chinese man was being interviewed by British television. Anyone see it? Where they were asking him, the British people were asking the Chinese guy. So on Twitter, I have it on my phone actually, but I can't really put anything. But I got a transcript so I can read it out in case you've not seen it. So they were interviewing the man, like, okay, so what are you? Are you an ally, or is China an ally to the UK, or a threat, or enemy, or competition? You know what the Chinese man said? So they were asking him, are you a competitor? Are you an ally? Are you a threat? How would you regard your relationship with Britain? Now this was the Chinese government official response. Live TV. It's on Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere. I can tell it to you later. So the man responded and said, first of all, between China and Britain, from the Chinese perspective, Britain is not a rival. It's not a competitor. It's not an enemy. It's not an adversary. Britain is just an important country to get along with in friendship and for our mutual benefits. Now, how Britain looks at China, it's up to the British government and people to decide. But I think it will be completely misguided for Britain to view China as an enemy or adversary or a competitor. Now, this is where he brought out that guy. And you understand language, you see that guy. He said, what do China and Britain compete with? China is the largest manufacturer of automobiles competing. Is the largest manufacturer of automobiles competing with Britain? No. China is the largest exporter of electronic vehicle cars and will lead the whole world in electronic vehicles production. Is Britain a competitor? No. Wow. China will be the biggest and most important producer and R&D means research and development, in terms of semiconductors. In no time, semiconductors are the hot take right now because they are the things that power jets and the baddest nuclear weapons. Semiconductors produce it, and the best right now are produced in Taiwan, which is controlled by the US. So the whole politics there, alright? So, but the most important producer in terms of semiconductor, and will lead there in no time. Does that mean that China competes with Britain? No. China will be the leading nation in the AI revolution. Is Britain a competitor? No. So I think the British government should not overestimate its impact on the global scene and view Britain as a rival of China. China is not. China is a fact. China is a mega trend for Britain to live with and get along with. Let's make peace rather than agitating for war. Let me give you guys a little bit of a history lesson. We're talking about the battle of the Swift Valley. There was a time when Britain bullied the hell out of China. Let me pull this up for you. This was in your spare time, go and Google the first Opium War. The Opium Wars of 1839. Alright? What had happened was that Britain and China in that year had a free trade agreement such that they could trade with each other. Now the British were buying Chinese goods, but the Chinese did not have any need for what Britain had to offer. So they were not buying for them. That's it right there. But the Chinese, didn't have any need for what the British had. What did they have? Right? So they were not buying anything from the British. The British said, look, we can sell you opium. You know what opium is? Hard drugs. Yeah. At the time, opium was legal. So the British, they didn't even produce opium. You know, the British also colonized India. So they were collecting opium from India to try to force selling on the Chinese. Chinese said, no, this thing is addictive and is ruining the lives of our people. We will not accept opium here. And they went to war. Britain bombed the hell out of China to their agreed. There's no happy ending. Some people might be like happy ending. They bombed the hell out of China to their agreed. Google it. Opium Wars. Wow. So that's their history. So fast forward to now, the parameters of strength have changed. Is Britain a competitor? No. That's the impact of that speech. So now I'm asking you guys, alright, what is your current parameter for speed? For strength? I'm the baddest website designer. Really? Globally, what is the highest you can get to as a website designer? What's the highest? What has moved on? Nobody will tell you. The world has moved on. The parameters have changed. Yes, be excellent. Yes, have a skill, but what skill? You see, the school of the poor focuses a lot on the what. When you move into the school of the sophisticated and the school of the wealthy, you start asking questions of how, maybe even why, maybe even what else is there. Let us steal. Yeah, let us steal. Let us steal. Let us steal. What skill? How? Invest. 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 We have to invest. How? How do I know a good investment is to make? People don't ask. So you have to look where you are and ask yourself, what is the parameter for strength? Or you'll be strong at the wrong thing. You'll be like the British that had so many ships they couldn't use. Now, they will say we have the strongest naval fleet in the world. Well, strength is no longer about the naval fleet, it's about the Air Force. What you got? So you're going to start rethinking. So if you are a website designer, see, there's something I learned from a friend who invests in agriculture, right? He told me this thing I learned and it changed the way I see business. He said in agriculture, the farthest you are from the soil, the more money you make. See, wisdom helps you to decode metaphors. Normal people like being spoken to in plain. Tell them what it means. No, when they give you a metaphor, your mind makes a connection. Oh my goodness. And I realized that people that make the most money in IT, they don't know about IT. People who make the most money in cosmetics, don't know anything about cosmetics. The pattern is not to be lost. The race is not to be swift. You are so good at mixing it. Oh, yeah, it's good. But you are so swift and strong at the wrong damn thing. Your boss is swift and strong at the thing that controls you.
Yeah.
So if you're a website designer, think in terms of agriculture. Sales brand is the poorest person. Everybody else in that value chain makes more money. The website designer is the poorest person. This is what I'm designing. Where is he earning up? Why is this person willing to give me 300,000 naira? How much is he earning? How much is this website making for him? What business is that? What do I have to become that? I want that. The day you start asking that question, your life is going to change. See, I like the very careful when I say this one too. Yeah, because I want to look good on camera. So I don't like to talk about photographers. Yeah? You start the word. Yes. You're a photographer. Think, how many rich photographers do you know? Please be honest. The Bible says what? Come, let us visit together. Look how they shout. Hey, who is it? Anointed to do exploits. Be quiet. It's not like that. My people do not suffer for the lack of anointing, or jumping, or gyrating, or singing. It's for the lack of. How many rich photographers do you know? Whenever I ask this question, someone usually says, I know one. And I also respond, only one. That's God to tell you so. Not that there's no one in photography, but you've got to think agriculturally. You now realize that people on the internet who are making back millions from photography without touching the damn camera. They ain't touching the soil with you. You see, when a poor man's son has an idea, the execution is different from when a rich man's son has an idea. Yes, alright, now I like to do this experiment. I like telling my audience here to imagine. Alright? And I mean this is not being sarcastic. This imagination will help you see what I'm saying clearly. Imagine you're a billionaire. Right? Just imagine you're a billionaire. You're settled and you have kids. All your life, you've made money, you've done everything. Making more money is no longer important to you. You've had it all, you've done it all. You have estates, mansions, you're no longer impressed by those things. All of your friends and peers are all fellow billionaires. The only thing important to you right now is legacy, living succession. And your first child, son or daughter, comes. Hey mom, hey dad, guess what dad? Guess what? Right? I finally figured out what I want to do with my life. I'm like, alright son, Tell us about it. They call. Dad, Mom, I have a passion for photography. You're like, okay. Tell me more. Well, I really enjoy wildlife and I just want to take pictures of wildlife. That's my dream, Dad. I want you to support me. I spent money in Harvard, lesson teachers, internships, and made Bill Gates. I got my relationship with Bill Gates so that he could mentor him. I had to call in a huge favor to make that happen. I sent him to Monaco, to Paris, to London, I have spoiled, I blame myself, I spoiled this boy. To snap animal. Hey God. However, take a step back, rewind. Imagine if your child, son, daughter, instead came and said, hey Dad, hey Mom, finally figured out what I want to do with my life. Oh really? Tell us about it. Dad, Mom, I have a passion for photography. Photography. Tell us more. It's okay, I got a PowerPoint presentation, right? First slide. My research shows that there are 3 million cameras manufactured every single month, most coming from Southeast Asia. We have been able to locate a patent for a new kind of lens that provides higher quality of pictures. We have secured this patent, we have registered it, and our route to monetization is to manufacture these lenses and sell at scale. We're going to go into exclusivity agreements with Nikon, Kodak, and every other stakeholder to make our lenses become their exclusive lenses. Another way we will also maybe not manufacture, but license the patent to those who wish to manufacture and make material income for the rest of our lives. What would you say? I'm even this one. You know what I'm bubble now. I'm on this one. The same damn passion doesn't defeat you. Put on these new robes. Those other robes, they are okay in the school of the poor. When Poma Becky get idea, say, I'm so sorry, please, I don't mean it in that way, please. But I was once like that, okay? So I'm just saying for all of us. When Poma Becky get idea, maybe say photography, one carry camera, and the parents don't do any better, so they'll hail him. May God bless you. May God bless you also. You will do well. Well, be relative. Right? And I'm telling you that I'm not trying to look down on anybody. Me, I was there. I didn't have anybody to tell me these things. It took me time. I wish there was one day I could sit down in an YAMA Okoye event and listen at 21, 22, and be like, oh my God, anointing that breaks the yoke. I wish. But these are lessons that had to unravel over time. Seeing this clue here, connecting to that clue, connecting to this clue, and everything finally making sense after how many years. So I need you people, I need us all to take a step back, think, and renegotiate your role on the chessboard of life. Oh yes, the name is a chessboard too. Alright? So I'm going to run through 10 things, please. Alright? 10 things. I promised you guys a bonus, didn't I? I promised you 10 things for people who want to break into international markets. Alright? These are things that I said in my course, but I promised those who came here these 10 things. But I have to lay the foundation and open your minds. I'm very careful when I talk about this global, because it rubs some people off the wrong way. So I like to make sure I'm talking to the right audience. Right? Some people will be like, oh, everybody see global art. Must everybody be global? I even go to Japan. I don't like all that cynicism. So it's just because of what the theme was. I said, okay, this is the right audience for these things. But these are not being things from the Chinese. And what is it? Okay? The race is not to the swift, the battle is not to the strong. What is strength now? What is swiftness? Okay? It is productivity. When the Chinese man was boasting, he wasn't boasting about military, he was boasting about semiconductor. He didn't mention agriculture. He didn't mention oil even. He said, we're the leading in electronic vehicles. We're the leading in semiconductors. The Chinese had figured out where the power game was going to be played, and they became strong and swift at that. So what are you going to be strong and swift at? What are you going to produce? The strongest powers in the world are those who are able to produce something that is in rare demand. You see, I saw a news article recently that's supposed to celebrate what Nigeria is doing. It said that Nigeria had a bump in oil revenue. That's good news, isn't it? All right, now, let me tell you how much Nigeria made. Where is that figure? I put it here, somewhere. Hey, Johnny boy. I saw it this morning. It says, revenue from crude oil sales has earned Nigeria $11 billion in the first 5 months of 2023. That's pretty good when you see where I'm coming from. Conversely, I want you guys to think. Conversely, Russia, that the whole world has put off embargoes. The separate news reports that was talking about how badly Russia is doing now at their oil exports. You want to know how badly Russia is doing? That's at war. That everyone has embargoed. You know how badly they are doing? They said Russia's oil export revenues fell. It fell to 406 million euros per day. What are you producing that the next man can't? You know why? Everybody hates Russia, but they can't do without their oil. They can't do without it. I was in Dubai, hanging out at a golf club. And this is my friend from Morocco, very wise man from Morocco. So in the golf club, when you come into the main area where people are having their drinks and having their business meetings, there's a big screen there, and the only thing on the screen there is Bloomberg. That's another thing. You got to define where you get information from. All these crappy blogs. You're not a poor person. Yeah? So Bloomberg was up there, so it's always on news, but you can see what's going on. So all those price tickers for different commodities go see what they're. I didn't know anything about those things. Let me tell you the truth, I was just. So I was my friend, we're having drinks talking, and I said, what can you deduce from all these movements on the screen? And just casually look at the screen. I said, well, some people are smuggling wheat out of Russia. There was nothing about Russia or, nothing about Russia on the screen. How did you get that from all those symbols? I said, I asked him, I know the symbol. How he said, well, that ticker shows that the price of wheat has dropped. Now, Russia supplies, I think, about 1/3 of the global wheat supply in the war, Russia and Ukraine. But because of mostly Russia though, but because of the embargo, Russia has been cut off from exporting their wheat. And when that happens, economic students, demand and supply, when there is a reduction in supply, what happens to the price? It should go up. But instead, it showed that the price was coming down. Since someone has found the back door. The education of the rich is different than the education of the poor. It's different. So anyway, Russia strives, every superpower, they strive to be the only one that can supply your needs. at the highest levels of power, the sky is too wide for two birds to fly. Superpowers, even if me and this person can both supply, this one will sabotage this one so that I'm the only one that can supply you. Or buy this one out so that I'm the one that can supply you. So that in case we ever quarrel, you can't cut me off. You need me. You may not like me, but you need me. So what would you produce? Alright. This is the mindset you must have for global. You don't waste opportunities. So number one, redefine your parameters. Choose a path that makes you indispensable. That's the easy part. The easy part. The hard part is what? Study. Study. And there's a lot of knowledge on the internet. Focus. What is it going to be for you? Go and search World Economic Forum. They always publish jobs reports. They talk about what the highest sought-after jobs are going to be for the next decade, maybe the future. And position there. Keep on checking what the listings are. And if any of them is even close to your inclination, oh yeah, enter there, study it, become the best at it. So you have to redefine. Don't say, oh, I'm the best hairdresser on my street. Fantastic. Pack for yourself. You're the best at what? A powerless title. And what you want? So redefine the parameters of strength and speed. And choose the path that makes you indispensable. They cannot do without you. And study. Number two, renew your mind. You have to be culture aware. And a large part of being culturally aware is in your environment. Alright? From time to time, take a trip to where these things are happening. I saw Ijoma posted about this event. Sometimes, when are you coming to Onitsha? When are you? Come on, travel. How will your life change? Travel, alright? So from time to time, go to where it is happening. There's a website called eventbrite.com. Eventbrite.com, alright? On that website, you can just refresh it every day to show you all the impactful events happening all over the world. So what you can do is to narrow it down to Lagos and Abuja and know the industry events that are happening. Most of them are free. Most are free. That was my strategy my first year in Lagos. I won't move beyond that. What I will do is that on the Eventbrite page, there's a link where you can click to contact the organizer. And I would say, hey, because I was looking for social media events. So I was just, hey, I teach on social media strategy for business, and I don't know if I can come and give a free talk at your event, no charge. I was new, so maybe if I message like 20 people, I'll get 2 responses. So I start, public speaking. People started doing, share my cards. That was how I started to blow up. Alright? So, at least start attending this. There are things that you can't see. I'm sorry. There are things you will never hear in Asaba. You will never hear it. Asaba, meaning how? When the who is who come to Nigeria, in their mind they think Lagos is Nigeria. When Mark Zuckerberg came to Nigeria, he came to Lagos. You know, he had left Lagos to Kenya. Before Buhari knew that he was in the country.
What's that way?
That Facebook boy. You remember that street? That Facebook boy. That's a calling back. I go to Nairobi to see the president. From Nairobi, he came back to Abuja. They schooled him where he suits the president. Where he suits, and the president Buhari took a picture of that and went back to Nairobi. Capital. Everything happens in Lagos. Everything. I'm not saying you must move. If you can, some of you, I don't know where you are in your life or what options are available to you. Some of you have a kind of support system that can allow you to maybe be in Lagos for certain periods of time. If you have that option available to you, please take it. Please take it. There is nothing for you here. Say, I will not really have it. See, listen. This is your pride. When this phase of your life passes, you can't get it back. You can't. You can't. See, one of the things that really motivated me in my background. At 15 years old, I was a bricklayer. I've seen poverty. Man don't get, my man don't get. If there's anything that will happen in my family that is positive, it will be me. Whatever it is, big alone, I'm ready. I'm not asking you to take crazy risks, so the fact that I did it does not mean that it work for you. I'm just telling you my mindset at the time. I couldn't take it. See, one of the best gifts of God to me is self-awareness. I'm not someone that you tell to really, wow, some people go and I'm blushing. I just tried, yo. I knew. I hear big names, I hear everything, I'm like, I can do better. I can, I know I can. What am I doing here? I can. I said, I got to that. I said, give me 6 months. Just give me 6 months here. You all hear my name. That was me. What am I going to be doing here? What is here? Government contract. What? You're hoping that your guy becomes governor and makes you PA. What's the trajectory like? What's the height of that? I'm not saying your goal is in Lagos. I'm saying you owe it to your destiny to find out. Try it out. You're young. Most of you here are unmarried. You don't get wife, you don't get picking. It's just you. You can move around, you can travel. You can move around. The time will come, you will not have that freedom again. This is the window you have to try things out. We say there are no guarantees in life. Yes, there are no guarantees. But you can do what? You can improve your chances. Environment. I'm even just saying environment in Lagos. There's the other level of things, alright? I'm coming to that. Some of you are students, you're in university right now. University students, very good. Don't you dare drop out of school. Don't ever. Unfortunately, most universities do not have a functioning guidance and counseling unit. So many of you have not been taught by the people who should teach you, right? They haven't taught you the usefulness of your degree. It's not for jobs. It's very unfortunate. So I know why people drop out. Nobody has told them how important that degree is. For someone who came from a poor background, to get a first-class degree, that can be a ticket to a life of affluence. Why? Do you know that if you come out with a first class, there are some scholarships you'll be eligible for, not in Nigeria, but abroad, free of charge. I know people who, their partner will get, their man will get, turn them upside down, shake them, one couple will not drop. There was no way, you can't look at this guy and say that this guy will be successful, no. But all they had was academic excellence. These are the kind of guys you see in school that come in looking raggedy. You know, you just know that they don't have, but Boko, they're savvy. I know some of them in my community in South Africa, they give me testimonials. Some one Mastercard Foundation scholarship, they're now Canadian citizens. Traveling the world, doing big stuff. Say they only 6. Joe, I didn't know anybody, so look, say I use connection. He was based in Benin. His first ever flight in his life was to fly to Benin so he could meet his flight to Germany. For the scholarship, fully funded, fully paid. Those things are highly competitive, usually for those who have a first class. So don't reduce your efforts because they told you it's just for jobs and there are no jobs. That's a lie from the pit of hell. It's a lie. So try to get a first class, it will improve your options. Now, how many of you, whenever things are going back to Nigeria, what trends on Twitter? Canada. But have you asked what Canada is looking for? The program is called Highly Skilled Employer or Employee Program, right? Yes. So they want highly skilled employees. How do they define skill? Your degree. And if anybody has, don't take my word for it, go and ask any immigration consultant. They will tell you it's what they call a points-based system. So the higher your grade, the higher points you have. But there are so many things in the value chain. Research them. Alright? If you take this camera now to Photoshop, you take the pictures now to Photoshop or Lightroom, you will edit them, right? There are people that are making money selling what they call presets or LEDs, LUTs. What do they mean? When you edit a picture and it looks so beautiful and magnificent. There's a particular setting that you did. You can save that file and sell it to somebody who doesn't want the headache. People are making millions from selling their presets. I'm not in that business, but it's my job to always search and know what's happening. I always do that, whether I'm in that industry or not. Right? So figure out some way to make money from the internet. Why? Because it's scalable. A lot of my greatness globally has been self-funded. And some of these things you will need money to make. And the internet, if you can master it, you will make. See, who would think you are a Yahoo boy? Because you look at your money and be like, what's it there? From how you just study, focus on this is not a telemarketing class or a one deeper, right? There's so many things there. Try your hands at what you might be good at. There's consulting, there's products, there's being an influencer, there's so many aspects of the value chain on internet marketing, right? Somebody is living it. There are some parts of this whole global journey that I did not discover until I met a man named Olakode Shori of Kobe Melody. Right? And when I met him, I like what Joma said about mentoring. I didn't think I needed anything, so I didn't want anything back. I was like, this guy, I love his work. I want to just help him do whatever. I saw some gaps that I could fill, and I was just doing it. He never asked for anything. Just to be around him and wishing that the road is going was fine for me. After I'd done this, something happened. Time again, let me really shorten the story. I need you to get this thing. Because the term mentorship has been so bastardized. Yeah. People see it as being an opportunity now. Mentor. Say a mentor is a springboard to success. It's a mentor, sir. He's not getting to where he is by being naive. He sees right through you. The election man is very nice, so he won't tell you what he's thinking. He will smile and be like, okay, you know, yeah. But it's a matter like this boy to learn. Right? So I was just doing stuff for him, and then one day he had this event called Next 65. He does every year, right? He does Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. I want to just go and attend just to be happy, you know, but so I missed the Lagos one because I traveled to Dubai on vacation. So I came back ready to go for the Abuja one. And then I woke up one morning and I checked my phone and I see this man's message, St. John, deja vu. St. John, I know this is short notice. I don't know if it's, I don't know to barge in on your schedule. Like, why you are conspiring to assume that I have work in this life? Why? I don't know to barge into your schedule, but I'm just thinking, I don't know if it is within you, if you can, please, honor me, please, and be one of my speakers. Honestly, at the Abuja Port Harcourt version, me busy. Last minute. Hey, God. Why do people look at me and assume I have what I'm doing in my life? Why? I said, yeah. And so excited that I was said that I immediately opened my laptop. I was at home in Lagos. Opened my laptop, booked my flight tickets to Lagos. I'm sorry, I was in Lagos. To Abuja, I'm back. To Port Harcourt, I'm back. Hotels. I probably shouldn't have. I should have communicated because I'll explain why, right? So, 2 days to the event, he sent me a message. I said, John, it's a little bit of a challenge. Our sponsors pulled out at last minute. We are still trying to figure out your flights and accommodation. Please bear with me, I'll get back to you in 24 hours. I said, oh. When I said yes, I assumed I'll be covering it. So I have covered it. I'll see you this weekend. I responded with one word. Wow. I mean, I was just being myself because I was just fanatically trying to help. That was just me. When we got to Port Harcourt, we did it was a blast. We got to Abuja, we did it was a blast. So at the Abuja version, I think, yeah, the Abuja version of the final one, all the speakers that had dinner with Olakode Shori. I was just talking, and there was a Mojua, After from Amongaji, Olusola Amusa, me, Woli Arole, right? We all throwing questions at him, live questions, and it just came out, so I don't know how it came out that every other speaker did the same thing I did. I thought I was special. Everybody else, do something. So what if I was now? See, Elijah Mama, you've been in this game for a while. You know when someone just goes silent on you? You might never know why. To the end of days. Because sometimes they don't want to say something that you now say, it's up. You're not the one. Quietly. Because of what you never know why. Hey. Anyway, that's that. Oh my goodness. So anyway, that ended. I came back to Lagos and all that. He traveled back to the US. So one time he came back to Lagos. He called me, said, John, I'm in town. I'm leaving first tomorrow morning. Let's see tonight. I said, okay. I don't get work. I met him in the hotel. Talking. He said, so this meeting was in December 2017. I was already blown in my mind. The parameters of blue in my mind. Yeah? Parameters of strength and speed in my mind were set to what I was at the time. I was just acting self-sufficient. I didn't anything from him, I was just helping. I said, this thing that you are doing, you've done really well for yourself. All over Lagos, all over Nigeria, it's amazing. But, have you ever thought about taking your talents outside the country? I wish I could say, oh yes, no. I really had never thought about it. I was so arrogant, I was traveling abroad to spend money, tourism, go to Dubai, snap with camera, travel to Brazil, doing money to show things. I said, no, I should travel and come back. I said, would you like to? He said, yes, of course. This man sat me down, gave me a 3-hour lecture on what it takes to go global. See, I pity some people when you say, oh, 1 million naira or dinner with Elashimama. They say, I'll pay the money and pay for his course. What this man schooled me for those 3 hours, he has never ever spoken about it on stage. Never. At that time, he had not written any book. He just recently wrote a book. And it was nothing about that. It's called A Love Affair with Failure. What told me that night? Honestly, I have not seen it. He has never heard it. He has never shared on any stage. Wow. It is, I was listening, and he's like, should I take notes? Should I? He broke it down, give me contacts, call this person, call this person. Do you have this document, that document? Well, how did the whole thing start? What is strategic mentoring? Not about strategizing to scheme your way. I didn't even know he had that value. Because he doesn't talk about it. Doesn't talk about it. Not in any of his sermons. Watch him on YouTube. He's talking about other astronomical things. No, they talk these things.
Mind-boggling things.
Yeah, he doesn't talk about these things. That year, I started thinking like, okay. And the very next year, 2018, I made it. So 2018 was my first international speaking engagements to Brazil. I got there, spoke, it was amazing. I said, okay. When I came back, I cancelled all local speaking in Nigeria. I'm not asking you to do it though. I'm saying what I did. Because there's a way I think I had to cut that off so I could really see. In that 2019, I went to 4 different countries to speak, not to spend money. Paid for, based on, what's that price? 4. And it grew me. You know, some people see, when you watch night school, you see montage from some of these things, a way of seeing the world. Alright, so when the strategic mentorship, there are people that are living your dream. Alright? And you have to be someone who is resourceful. Alright, I posted this morning, You don't just come and say, sir, that's what you said, is it on Google? No. Ask me a question that makes me feel like, okay, this guy is more likely to succeed in what I'm telling them. They are studious, they are resourceful, they can figure things out. Oh, go to eventbrite.com or go to eventbrite, scientific.com or download the app. So I do on Android. I will answer you because I'm conscious. I don't want to break your spirit. But I will also profile you. You know that there are websites that always call for speakers, international, not Nigeria, internationally, where you can nominate yourself to speak. I have some with my laptop or just Google. There are some of them. Just Google call for speakers. You see many websites that have all the listings. Most of them are free. Now, nominate yourself to speak in all these countries. Especially those that are easy to travel to. If you have money, fly yourself there. Get that exposure. Have you realized, those of you that have traveled, have you realized that you, Nigerian, is when you travel for such things that come back, that your own people start meeting you?
Yes, sir.
This is street wisdom. Just I didn't make it. I don't wish it was that way, but that's just the way it is. Alright? Number 8, social media and PR. Some of you are doing some good stuff. See, you explain that, no evidence. There should be evidence. Alright? Your social media should document everything you are doing. Let there be evidence. You came here to YAMA. Alright? When you go back home, you come and say, today I attended YAMA convention, 223, it was so amazing. Malaysia Mama spoke, Dr. Aki spoke, John B spoke, Chad Ward spoke, and here's what I learned from it. Number 1, this. Number 2, this. Number 3, this. So on your Instagram, it's on your YouTube. Why? So that when anybody searches your name and they see you in that role of competence, they will choose you. You want to make yourself visible, but visible in that competence. There are so many opportunities. Go to opportunity desk. There are so many fully funded opportunities, but those are highly competitive. They only pick people that they believe can be future leaders, and you have to demonstrate that on your Instagram. Instagram is not your diary. Facebook, what are you thinking? You said, I'm always wondering why this person in Big Brother house did not even. What do you say? Not be true. Yeah? Okay, moving on. There's one speaking engagement I got in Brazil, my biggest international. The major reason I was invited there was not because say I sabi go, even though I sabi. The major reason was that so that I had a community of 100,000 members at the time, for 100,000. I had never met anybody who had that kind of followership before. They asked me to speak. I don't speak Portuguese. Go be a translator. And so your social media game, take it seriously. But for your competence, okay? Stop giving your opinion on nonsense.